Who are the fallen angels? What do we mean when we say their locations are revealed? Are they on earth or somewhere else? These are the questions that must have popped up in your mind after seeing the title of the video. But you need not worry, because in today's video, we will answer all your queries. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get updates about our upcoming videos. With that being said, let's get into it. Before we start with the revelation of the fallen angels' location, we must learn who the Nephilim are. The Hebrew Bible describes the Nephilim as a race of perplexing entities or individuals who were unusually huge and physically strong and lived both before and after Noah's flood. Genesis chapter 6 verses 1 through 4 are the earliest verses to mention the Nephilim. And it came to pass, when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all, which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. The word Nephilim means giants or the fallen ones in Hebrew. Scholars disagree about who the Nephilim were, nevertheless. There are several perspectives on how the Nephilim and the sons of God interact. Some claim that the sons of God in Genesis 6 verse 4 are fallen angels, and the Nephilim are children they had with human women. Some scholars believe that certain disobedient angels, who are referred to as the sons of God in Genesis 6 verse 2, lived among the women of humanity. Nephilim, also known as fallen ones or giants in English Bibles, emerged on earth as a result of this immoral union. Some will connect this to 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 19, which says, For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which also he went and preached unto the spirit in prison, which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was preparing, wherein few, that is, 8 souls were saved by water. According to some theologians, verse 19 shows that Jesus addressed the angels who had performed the sin mentioned in Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 4, and Jude chapter 1, verse 6. The viewpoint also holds that the fallen angels who had an unholy union with human women and produced the Nephilim, and were imprisoned for violating the lines, are the sons of God. Jude chapter 1 verse 6 is translated in this fashion in the New Living Version. And I remind you of the angels who did not stay within the limits of authority God gave them, but left the place where they belong. God has kept them chained in prisons of darkness, waiting for the day of judgment. There are 2 reasons why the fallen angels are imprisoned. First, they did not respect the boundaries of the power that God granted them. Second, they departed from their natural habitat. God had a solid basis for imposing such an eternal judgment against them because the implication of their transgression was that they broke their lines and deserted their divine position. Regarding the identity of the angels in Jude chapter 1 verse 6, there are 2 points of view. According to Isaiah chapter 14 verse 12 through 14 and Ezekiel chapter 28 verses 14 through 17, the devil was arrogantly hoisted up against God prior to the war that broke out in heaven. This is the first point of view. These 2 biblical verses both have the following translations. Verse 12 through 14 of Isaiah chapter 14. How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning! How you were cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations! For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation of the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the height of the clouds. I will be like the highest. Similarly, Ezekiel chapter 28 verses 14 through 17 states, You were the anointed cherub who covers. I establish you. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked back and forth in the midst of fiery stones. You were perfect in your ways from the day you were created till iniquity was found in you. By the abundance of your trading, you became filled with violence within, and you sinned. Therefore I cast you as a profane thing out of the mountain of God. And I destroy you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the fiery stones. Your heart was lifted because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I cast you to the ground. I laid you before kings, that they might gaze at you. These angels and Satan revolted against God because they were dissatisfied with their status. In order to split their ranks, the fallen angels plotted to destroy God since they were dissatisfied with their spiritual positions and joined forces with the devil to do so. A third of the angels joined Satan in this revolt against God. According to the second school of belief, these angels are divine sons who lived with human daughters. Jude is referring to the sons of God, according to the second school of thinking, which is shared by the majority of religious scholars. And the reason behind this thought is that we all understand that Satan is not imprisoned in darkness like the fallen angels. Since Satan is frequently described in the Bible as being on earth and moving back and forth, these angels who are imprisoned must have committed sins distinct from those that Satan did. Thus, their punishment is distinct from Satan's. Whether you agree with the first viewpoint or the second perspective, one thing is certain. God has placed fallen angels in chains in a prison of darkness somewhere at this very moment. God is currently imprisoning the fallen angels until the end of all things, when their judgment shall be carried out. In verse 4 of chapter 2 of 2 Peter, Peter also discussed where the fallen angels were. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. As we wrap up the video, we can't help but wonder, what would the fate be of these fallen angels? Would God show them some mercy? Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. So guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you found the video informative and interesting. Don't forget to give a thumbs up to the video. We will see you in our next video. Till then, take care.